Busby out of context little clip over and over and over, and they're going to make it all, and the whole hysteria around illegal immigration is going to be slowly morphed and shifted over the next 5 months into not only are all those people here, but the Democrats are trying to get them registered.
Yeah.
And it's
therefore we need to show ID at the polls.
2 IDs, national ID. You know, may I see your papers, please?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the first state that I'm aware of that instituted that voter ID card was in Georgia, my state. It was declared unconstitutional by a federal court, but the legislature in Georgia is rewriting it to make it legal. And I agree, though, with what Tom was saying about we have got to go to the European model if we honestly believe that the 2006 election results are phony. Then it's going to take some action. I mean, in the street, and I mean lots and lots and lots of people. Because if we don't do that, we've had 6 years of debate out here about stolen elections. We've had 6 years of debate about Diebold and ESS and these companies that make it very clear how they're going to deliver election results. If we let 2006 go by, if we don't feel it's legit, then kiss it goodbye. Now, the difficulty here is we have 435 legislative districts that are all up for grabs. Now, I realize 95% of them will return the incumbent, but that's not necessarily true this time. I think the secret in this country is that even Republicans have had just about enough of these people in the Bush crime family, and I think they're willing to vote against them. But I do believe when I saw what happened in Serbia when Milosevic tried to steal that election, and several 100,000, a couple of million people went to the steps of Parliament and wouldn't move. And I don't know what else we're going to do.
But you know why? There were 5 guys in Serbia, 5 young men, who organized a campaign, seeing this thing coming. They saw it coming down the road. They colorized it. They had a color for it. They came up with a logo for it. It was a ticking clock. They cut out hundreds of stencils on paper so that they could go around with spray paint cans and spray paint them on sidewalks. They had a slogan, "His time is up." And they coordinated this thing with the exit polls so that as soon as the polls closed, they announced the results of the election before the official announcement came out. And they had this whole network of getting the word out, even though the state controlled the media. And they were so successful in doing that the U.S. State Department, Freedom House, which was started by Eleanor Roosevelt, the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party of the United States. These 4 entities funded these 4 guys, flew them into the Ukraine. They did the same thing in the Ukraine. There they had a different logo. I forget what it was.
What's our color going to be?
Well, that's it's a good question, but I mean, purple, yeah. But the point is that they did this like a marketing campaign. This was organized, this was planned, and they did it in 4 countries, and we paid for them to do it in 4 countries. And in 3 of those 4 countries, we were successful in reversing stolen elections. But it was because it was done intentionally. I wrote a piece about this for Common Dreams 2 years ago called "How to Take Back a Stolen Election."
Right, I read that.
And the Democrats are still not paying attention to this. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be if they steal the 2006 election. It's going to be when. And we have to be ready for it.
One of the things... One of the things we don't talk about enough is that we're very dubious in this country about the sanctity of the vote. We're very in favor of the sanctity of the vote for some people, and it's always been that way. We've never really eradicated Jim Crow in this country, obviously. We haven't eradicated segregation. It is with those 2 tools that all of this is being pulled off. Now, there are initiatives like Jesse Jackson Jr.'s federal vote law, a federal right to vote so that you wouldn't have in these elections 435 have different election operations and rules, that you would have non-partisan board of elections, that you would have a paper ballot with a trail. There is legislation that we can be asking our Democrats to sign on to, Greens or whoever you want, sign on to, or you won't get our vote. And we've got to, deal with the history of this country where we put up obstacles to vote and then say we believe we want everybody to vote. Why not make it a day off? Why not? You can have a whole long list. But this is an issue. I do believe we can fight it. If we fought segregation as much as we have, we can fight it. But we've got a lot of legacy to still work through. And part of it is we've got to, I think, like you said, have a plan to be in the districts where we know they're going to play the dirty tricks, and get behind the legislation that might make a difference.
Laura, the one I hear the most, I'm wondering, what do you think the chances are of legislation saying that, you cannot have the head of the Bush-Cheney campaign or the Kerry, Edwards campaign be in charge of the election for that state. You can't have a party like that.